Welcome back to another exciting episode. Week 4 of all of us together. Pastor Amanda, Pastor Todd. Thanks for coming back here. I know it's been a while, so I'm glad you found your way back here. This week we are talking about Luke 1 and the Magnificat, or Mary's song. What does our song look like here in the midst of Advent, and what hope can we find as we get closer and closer to Christmas? So this is going to be a good conversation. Hopefully you're ready to sing. I thought we could all together start singing.
These aren't supposed to be comedies.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
Sure. Yeah. Well, seriously now, here we go. Uh, Mary, Mary is confronted with this news that she is going to bear God's son. And her response is by singing a song. So I thought, what better way to ask this question than what is our, if we were to write an Advent song, what might that first line be, or what would that song be about?
Oh,
I mean, just thinking about, Mary's song, it's bold, it's brave, it's beautiful, it's, yes, this is my yes. It even has those, flips, those turns upside down, right? The high will be brought low. The king will no longer be on a throne.
when I think about it, one of my favorite parts is the fact that she is a teenager. And she is talking. The teenager is talking about how through her God is turning the world towards justice and mercy.
Yeah.
And I think it's really powerful, especially when it's coming from someone so young.
right. It makes me think how remarkable a person she must be. I don't know that if I were given news, of that kind of magnitude, I mean, I I think I'd spend the first 10 days pulled in the fetal position in shock,
Right.
you know. But this is Mary's response. The word used was bold and I think brave and full of joy. Even knowing that this news came at a cost. I mean, people in her where she was at in terms of social status and such. I mean, for her to be pregnant without being married, now at the time that was a huge cultural taboo. So just the fact that she did these things was really amazing to me.
Right, absolutely, right? I mean, it is no small thing to have not only just said yes, but to also go out there and face all the things that you were talking about, right?
Right.
Doing that and like alone almost,
Well, she wasn't alone.
she wasn't alone,
She
right?
did go for. She was seeking companionship at this moment. She did recognize that she did need companionship with Elizabeth. That she couldn't go about this by herself completely. That she did need someone who's older, who could help her in this particular situation.
hmm
Um,
And would recognize what was happening and believe her.
right, and to believe her story, and to encourage her and strengthen her in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so jumping off of that, who are the people, maybe in your own lives or maybe, for all of us to think about in general, who are those people that we go to sing our song of hope, to give us that encouragement?
hmm
Um,
Mhm.
Mentors,
Mm.
close friends. Just today at the hospital, I received a call from a former mentor of mine out of the blue,
yeah.
and it was really uplifting. I was just sitting there and to see his name come across my phone and to hear his positiveness for me, and that was exceptionally encouraging today. And yeah, mentors, my closest friends, family. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um but those people who are invested in you, those people who, yeah,
Oh, definitely.
that know you.
Mhm. Yeah, when I'm feeling that sense of overwhelm, um, I can talk to Lori, and Lori can just help things make sense for me. That's one of the gifts that she has, and I love that. That's one of the things I love about her. Same thing. I have friends that I can call, who just make sense of my world, um, and are able to ask questions and cut through the stuff, right, to get to the root kind of a thing, and, I mean,
Do you,
that's a gift.
do you also have those friends too that just like make you feel brave? Like I mean, some of my friends where I mean, together I felt unstoppable.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, we're gonna do this. Of course we can do it. We're together. That kind of that kind of attitude, like those friends who, I mean, you feel like you could take on the world or get arrested together.
See, I knew that's where you're
Yeah,
going, and
it always comes back to a man being arrested,
yeah,
doesn't it?
exactly.
But you're brave together.
But just like God was working through Elizabeth, and God is working through all these people to bring us
Mhm.
this sense of hope and promise when we just feel like we don't know what to do.
Right. Absolutely. And there is hope in that. And to tie it back in with last week, right? We were talking about community and how that sense of community brings us together and refines us through the Spirit. And I mean, what better way than looking at Mary and seeing how the Spirit is bringing that community together, and but also taking care of her through this new song, this new hope of things. So sort of related to that, Mary kind of, sees herself in this big wide world. She's going to be giving birth to Jesus. Um, so even though she might be small in all of this, God says she's enough. So I was curious where you might have seen that dynamic play out in the church today or in your lives. How you might seem small, but God's at work saying you're enough.
Mm.
I, right now, in the voices of people who call for justice
Hmm.
or the voices of um, survivors of sexual assaults that are coming forward to say and speak their stories and say their truth. Um, anytime someone is willing to say their truth, then I see Mary's song today.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Mary's definitely got that strong voice of if things. There's going to be a strong reversal
Mm.
because of what's happening here. The world will be turned upside down. Um,
There's a woman named Carrie Newcomer who's a singer,
Mhm.
and Lori and I just went and heard her a couple of weeks ago doing a concert in the Twin Cities, and she put out a song. And what I've been aware of her for a while, but she put out this song during COVID uh, called "You Can Do Hard Things."
Hmm.
Or "You Can Do This Hard Thing," the name of the song, and it was just this super simple song, but I just remember the first time I heard that we're in the middle of everything and we're shut down and we're trying to figure out how to do church and is what's going to happen and will this community stay together and you know will there be offering to keep paying the mortgage, critic pay the more. I mean, all these different things are like these anxieties that we all had. We all had our anxieties, right? But I remember hearing this song, and I remember just literally in my office. I heard the song and I just kind of got teary.
Mm.
Um, because it was just this reminder, um, that, that God is with us and we can do this. We're gonna get through this. Things are gonna be okay, which to some extent I think is um, what God was saying, saying to Mary, you're gonna get through this. You're gonna be the mother of the Savior. You're gonna do these things. And I remember I took that song, I actually sent it out to the staff. I said, "You just wanted to listen to this," and people replied in the same way, saying, "Yeah, this is beautiful." It was just this great reminder. Um, I can't sing. Nobody wants to hear Todd's Magnificat. That would be really a bad idea. But but um, I can hear these things and it inspires me, and I have to figure out my own way then to express
Mhm.
what God is up to in my life.
Mhm.
The Magnificat is a song, but it doesn't need to be music. There are other ways that we can share,
Right.
um, through our actions, through our words, through the ways that we show compassion, love, justice, all those kinds of things with the people around us. That we can
Mhm.
live these things out for ourselves
Yeah.
and for others.
I do appreciate that Mary is not a passive observer of
Mhm.
what's going on. She's not passive at all. She's a reminder then our faith is not passive.
Mhm.
In fact, it helps perhaps reframe all of Advent. I
Mm.
mean, Mary's Magnificat is revolutionary, really. I believe it's revolutionary in the way it flips everything upside down. And sometimes we want Advent to be warm, cozy, sentimental, traditional, but what if Advent were more revolutionary?
Mm.
Revolutionarily, is that a word? I don't know.
I just doubt. You just did it.
Yeah.
What does revolutionary compassion look like?
Mhm.
Mm.
Well,
Not just passive compassion of but
yeah.
not Minnesota nice, but
Well, I think ultimately it's about transformation. It's about becoming. Mary became something different in this story, and her song was about what she was becoming. She was becoming a mother. She was becoming the mother of the Savior. She was gonna do. I mean, that's part of it, and I think um, what Advent does. Yeah, we can hunker down and just you know um, enjoy Advent as a time of peace and quiet. That's one way to approach it, and there's nothing really wrong with that. But I think it can also be this time, if we open ourselves up to what the Spirit is doing, of saying we can become always something more than we are now.
hmm
Mm. Yeah. I, I think tying that all the way back to week 1, right? Where we're waiting and we're hoping and we're
Mhm.
expecting. Um, some of that transformation happens in that space of
Mhm.
waiting and hoping. Much like going through, childbirth and walking through pregnancy like that. Um, So as we get closer to Christmas, just very briefly, what do you hope people, after experiencing Mary's story here, what do you hope they bring in with them to Christmas?
that God is active and moving and still turning the world.
Mhm. And that God is breaking into our world,
Mhm.
and that God is present
Mhm.
right in our midst.
Hmm. And that changes lives. It changes our lives
Mhm.
today and always.
Yep.
So I think, I think for that, it's a great Christmas present. So we got one more of these coming up for you. So until next time, thanks for joining us, and we'll be here with our favorite drinks. Take care, everybody. Okay, we ready?
Mhm.
All right. So give it a beat
Eat.
and